All right, we are live. What is going on, Floof? It looks like actually, whoa, hold on there. We got a little, there we go. We got a little freeze frame on you there, Floof, my friend.
It's having a bit of a what we call a struggle in the biz.
Yes, and actually, let me do something real quick here too, because I am realizing that this needs to be about halfway. I need to crank it a little bit there, like that. There we go.
All right, hold on. Let me fix something here. Got that.
Boom. Anyways, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Floofs and Waffles.
In a while.
Yeah. We've been on a little bit of a break, of a hiatus, so to say, but we are back and stronger than ever. As you can see, we had a little bit of audio difficulties in the beginning, but it's a work in progress. Nothing's perfect.
It do be like that sometimes.
Nothing is perfect. Yeah, it do be like that. But today we're going to be talking a bunch of different things. The main topics obviously are going to be the Game Awards, which just happened this last week. We're going to be talking some up and current movies, possibly
finally
some
TV shows. Shang-Chi.
Yeah, some fucking. We might be talking about some games. I know. I've been playing a couple games recently that I want to talk about, including Ruiner that I played yesterday. That game's fucking really fun.
I saw a little bit of that, and you posted a clip, and that looked interesting.
Yeah,
so.
it's as far as an indie game goes, and for the price, it's definitely a game that I would highly suggest. But enough of that. Floof, how have you been? What have you been up
to? I have been busy as shit. That kind of it, as to explain why I haven't been available and the main reason why these podcasts have been happening. I've just had shit going on with my life, and I had to get all that done. But I mean, other than that, I've been pretty okay. Been playing a lot more of Minecraft recently. I got back into that.
Why is that?
And it's like I've been playing. You kinda. I think I started with the update, just like playing Bedrock and whatnot. But after that, I got kind of sick of mining Deep Slate, so I, jumped back a couple of versions just to 1.7.10.
Now, for those who don't play Minecraft a whole lot, can you explain exactly what Deep Slate is and what you are collecting it for?
In 1.18, they introduced a new block into the game called Deep Slate. So in the regular version, I call it regular because I hate this new version. But in regular Minecraft, you have what's stone and then bedrock. That was how it used to be. You went from stone to bedrock, and there were about, I think the limit of the world was like 100 blocks or so, or maybe it was a little bit higher than that, maybe 120.
I remember that. It was like 120.
And where you would find like deep underground ore was around from, I think, level 13 to level 0. Now around level 2 and down to 0, bedrock would start to spawn, and that's a block that cannot be mined. I mean, technically it can, but it would take an astronomical amount of time for you to actually do it.
A massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, and there's nothing below it besides a void, which you fall into and die. So there was no reason for you to mine it anyways. It's just kind of supposed to be a placeholder to be like, hey, all right, you've hit the end of the world. There's nothing for you down here. But so that's how it used to be, and you'd find diamonds on like the lower levels, and instead of like kind of differentiating that, they added a new block called Deep Slate, which takes a little bit longer to mine than stone. I don't actually mind the look of Deep Slate, but the properties it has makes it feel kind of like an in-between between stone and obsidian, and I hate it.
Okay, so it's like it just takes a shit ton of time to actually mine.
It breaks, like you run through pickaxes way faster, you take longer to do the same things that you could do in earlier versions for faster.
No, really.
And I know this because playing it and whatnot, I was sitting there and I'm like playing the two different versions, 1.7.10, which is a bit ago, it's a hot sec ago, and then 1.18, and I was like, okay, I know that I'm not bad at this game. They just made it harder.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
I had diamonds and shit. Like, I was already like off to the nether and had like a full setup within maybe 20 minutes to like 2 hours. Like 20 minutes to find like a decent size amount of diamonds, and then like an hour to set everything up so that I basically was set.
Right.
So to me, I was just like, they literally just made this harder for no reason.
And that kind of, I mean, there is a reason for that. I feel like obviously as like gamers evolve and progress throughout like time, the average gamer is now asking for something a little bit more tougher, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more rewarding, but harder to get to the reward. And I feel like that's why things like Souls-like, Bloodborne, all those kinds of like those games that were somewhat niche, right? They were somewhat niche like 5-6 years ago, and now they're like just exploding onto the scene.
I understand that. Here's my rebuttal. Minecraft is a sandbox game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Minecraft is essentially like digital Legos, you know? It should just be like, just play with Legos.
The fact that it was kind of simple to get started, because to me, survival was never about beating the game, because when you beat the game, you just get sent back to your world, and you can fight the Ender Dragon multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's less about like. I agree. When I play Minecraft, it's less about the story and like getting through whatever kind of campaign they've made. And
the story is literally the end of it. The two voices that are talking, these two incorporeal spirits, are talking to you, saying, "Go be creative."
Go build.
Literally, they're just like the player hasn't ascended, so they can't understand any of this yet, but. They are, you know, whatever, and it just kind of gives you compliments and stuff for like kind of beating the game or whatever. It's literally just to tell you like, go be creative, go and chase your dreams and stuff like that. It's very wholesome and whatnot. But the whole point of the game isn't to beat the dragon; it's to make shit. Like,
right. It's to build.
And that's what I've been trying to do that with Minecraft instead of like just straight up like going, okay, I got to get this and this and this to beat the Ender Dragon, because that's not fun. You spend some time actually building stuff because that's what you're supposed to do. But with this, they like with all the updates that Mojang and mainly Microsoft, I blame them for like all of this. What happened is that it became more of an RPG and less of a sandbox, I feel.
Yeah, and also the fact that it has such a community aspect to it now is become kind of like whatever you want it to be. I mean, I remember when I was playing Minecraft, there was a point in time when I was just making dungeons. Like, and this was way before Minecraft Dungeons came out. I was making I would make the airships, right, with the balloons and stuff. And
that's cool, dude.
And then I had made a dungeon that was a 4-player dungeon that went from like airship to airship to airship, but each airship had like its own biome that I had made into it. And so it was like, and then of course you had your redstone pressure plates to activate monsters, and you had your chests with upgraded enchanted weapons and stuff and armor. And then you had, a mimic chest, which you'd open it up and it was just like a chest full of poison, pretty much. NPH Junior, welcome, my friend. How you doing? And hopefully your Sunday is treating you well. For me, recently I've been doing honestly just a lot of stuff around the apartment. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. I've been also delving back into my
one does.
Into my indie back catalog. Off and on, I'll hop on to check out if I want to play something on the PS4 or something. But I have not really been at my desk super shit ton recently. But
Same.
But yeah, and honestly, Pokemon. Diamond and Pearl, they've expanded that game to where the post game is just as fun as going through the initial game, because they added things like being able to rematch the gym leaders. The underground section is like super just flushed out, where you could spend.
There was something about Pokemon I kind of missed. It's like when you got done with whatever you were doing, you couldn't refight anyone. Unless you started another save.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was the Battle Cafe at one point. That was in Platinum, where instead of going around in battling each of the trainer or the gym leaders, you go to the Battle Cafe, and like every day a new set of gym leaders would be there to battle, and they'd all be kicking it, like having coffee and shit. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I've been playing Ruiner. I hopped back into Pokemon Unite a little bit. I started playing the newest season of Fortnite off and on, but like overall, I mean, I've been just kind of binging YouTube content, and on top of that, just kind of keeping up on some of the some of the shows that I haven't really been watching recently. Like I think I went through and watched the last season of Blacklist. I caught up with Hawkeye. There's a couple other shows that I've been watching off and on recently that I just can't recollect right now. I don't know why. A lot of them I'll turn on and then I just pass out because I come home so fucking late. But But one of the movies I wanted to talk to you about, obviously, that we were going to do an interview about, but we could kind of just brush over it because I feel like there's like a good amount of pros and cons to kind of just skim over in comparison. One I want you to watch so we could talk about is Eternals, because that one I have a little bit more of a torn perspective on.
Yeah, Eternals has been hard for me because I need to watch it, but I haven't. Like, that one has been even more elusive. It was a heck and a half to get me to
watch Shang-Chi.
To watch Shang-Chi.
It's because
hold on a second. Something. I'll be right back. Something happened.
Oh, is your VTube stuff going off? Well, oh. He's tiny Floof now. Well, while Floof gets that done, let me mention to you all that not only will we release the Floof and Waffles podcast on YouTube, which you can check out by typing in Waffle Plays into the YouTube search bar and looking for the icon, the waffle icon. I don't have Waffle Plays or youtube.com/Waffle Plays yet because we are only at about 24 subscribers currently. So if you want to go check that out, go check it out. We upload. I usually upload, whenever we have a video produced. I'll try to upload that day or the day after. So like today, I'm going to upload this video after we stream. We usually try to upload every Tuesdays and Sundays. Also, another plug as well. Every Saturday.
I'm back, by the way.
Nice. Every Saturday here on. I don't have a link for it. NPH, I don't. I need to throw a link in the fucking chat for that. Every Saturday starting next week at 10 a.m. PST here on Waffle Plays Twitch as well, we will be doing a new segment for podcasting called Coffee with Waffles. And that'll be a podcast based around Animal Crossing. And it should be pretty fun. This is an idea I've had for a minute. And then when they announced that they were going to be bringing Brewster's Cafe into the game, I was like, that's perfect. So we're going to be going with that. And I believe our first guest next week is going to be, let me see here. Funnel Cake. Yeah. If everything is
Funnel.
Correct. Yeah. Worked out correctly. We have luckily there's been a few people to be very interested in this. So I'm stoked on that because something I kind of wanted to experiment with over the next, the first month of the new year. See what sticks. Also, as well.
Have you on Nintendo Switch? I'm curious. That just reminded me.
What happened?
Do I have you on Nintendo Switch?
If you don't, you just go into the chat and ! Switch code. Whoops.
Oh.
Bam.
Is it? Could I possibly get you to copy and paste that into Discord?
Yes, I can.
Very much love. Thanks.
Copy. And...
I think I do. I'm fairly certain. I think I have you, but just in case.
I'm pretty sure you do, but I could be wrong. Anyways,
right. Thank you for doing that anyway.
Yeah, no problem. And for anybody who wants to add me to Switch Online, let me know.
Boom, there it is.
You go. Code's right there. But
we chilling.
Yeah, exactly. As far as Shang-Chi goes, I kind of want to know some of your pros and cons first, but I'm going to start off with this one because I have a couple things I'd like to say as far as pros right off the bat. I think that I personally enjoyed the story. I enjoyed Simu, right, is his name? The main actor, the guy who plays Shang. I enjoy his performance. There are some points where the comedic relief of his partner didn't really match up, but it was pretty good for the most part. The visual effects were pretty outstanding for the most part as well, and I really liked how the story beat kept kept its pace, right? Like one thing that always kind of frustrates me with a movie is that the story beat will be either too slow and then they try to pick it up, or it'll be way too fast and then they try to slow it down, right? Like however it might be, depending on how you're trying to set it up. If you're trying to set up like a trilogy, if you're trying to just do a one-off, right? Like for instance, with Eternals, no spoilers or anything with this either. One of the big problems I had was that the entire movie they were setting up X, Y, and Z, and then by the last 30 minutes they just fucking hit the gas. They just put a cinder block on that fucking gas pedal and just said go, 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 go. You know, and that's one thing I kind of liked about Shang-Chi is that it kept the same pace throughout the entire movie. The entire time it was like you would go from comedic beat to action, back to comedic beat to action, back to comedic beat to action. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
there's a rhythm to it.
Very rhythmic, yeah, and I appreciated that a lot. Yeah. Some of the cons I would probably have to say would be some of the CGI did not look good. Like some of it, well, a lot of it looked really good. Some of it just did not stick the landing with me. The story between the dad and their mom was really, really good, but I feel like there were some parts where like the realism of it was lost. And of course, it's a Marvel movie. It's not supposed to be hyper realistic.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
In the same breath, it's like this guy is he's and this is a little bit of spoilers, but not too much. The guy is
spoilers if you have not seen Shang-Chi. Yes, exactly. Stop listening. Go
exactly. So
just go watch it. Yeah.
So yeah, right on Disney Plus. It's out right now. But so the whole thing is that he is super depressed about his wife, right? And then he goes back into being like the 10 ring, like part of the 10 rings. He thinks that the village took her, right? Okay, well, a couple questions pop up. One, where did she actually? Is it confirmed that she actually passed away, or is she just missing at this point? And then two, the way that he went across grieving seemed like he was being talked to by these like demons or these soul eaters or whatever, like from the get-go. And then another thing too is that those soul eater creatures, they were a little anticlimactic. I kind of like the whole idea of it, but like that last kind of battle.
I think they were more scary as a villain when they weren't shown.
Yeah, when they were hypothetical, when they were like, "Don't open that fucking gate. Do not crack that wall down."
And I think the reason for that being is, and why it's like the latter half of it just felt like it had no punch. Was mainly because of the fact that we got to see what this unspeakable evil was, right? And this is a problem with all things that are like horror related. I know it's not a horror movie, but it has spooky elements, right? And if you're trying to drive tension, this is something I learned about in terms of like filmmaking. If you want to drive tension, never show what the people should be afraid of, because the fear of the unknown is way stronger than the fear of the known. Because when you know what it looks like, know what it is, know what it does, that's when you have some amount of power over it. Knowledge is power, I feel, especially with audience members and like what they see and how they feel about a character or antagonist. In this case, an antagonist. But when you have a certain character like that, let me see if I can talk right. You need to make sure that if you're gonna show it, it needs to show the full scope and magnitude. And then like there was parts of it where like it wasn't broken, but there were like some of the creatures seeping through or whatever, so they're like fighting, and I guess it's to show you like, oh, what they do. We shouldn't know what they do until the characters are overrun.
Well, like, I mean, that's and the thing that also kind of like it didn't make too much sense is like, so this mystical civilization that was supposedly like thousands, almost like 1,000,000 years more advanced than our civilization in our dimension, got almost wiped out, right, by these soul eaters. And then this dragon, this guardian, this protector, like shoved all these things into a cave and then sealed it up with some of its scales or with skin or whatever the fuck it was. It looked kind of like scales. And but then these people are sitting there now like for hundreds of years protecting this like barrier thing. wouldn't you think that there would be something more than just this like kind of like tiny dinky village on the end of a lake? Like you'd think that there would be like,
I mean,
like
I get that they're supposed to be like the remnants of a great village, but if they've been around for a while, you'd expect there to be a little bit more because
yes,
I don't know.
100%.
That didn't seem quite.
When they were explaining that, I was like, wait a second, but that doesn't
like this whole destruction of the village must have happened like
40 years ago or something. Yeah.
Like what? Right the fuck when Shang-Chi's like mother died.
Yeah,
like...
yeah. Which I kind of that was kind of my theory was that like because maybe time moves different from dimension to dimension, so that
that would mean it moves slower,
or it might like, move faster in their dimension than in our dimension. So like when you're
that's true.
When you're in their dimension, if like a year in our dimension is like 5 in theirs, right? Or 10 in theirs, or whatever it might be. But and that's I enjoyed the introduction to the multiverse through like in one aspect, right? Because we've had a couple different introductions to the multiverse in the MCU, like very slight hints, right? Like with Mysterio talking about like hinting, oh yeah, I got my tech from the multiverse, and this is multiverse tech and stuff, when he was just being a phony over in Spider-Man. You have, you know, now with Shang-Chi, and there are a couple other examples as well, obviously with like Doctor Strange and stuff, so on and so forth. But for this implication specifically, did you watch the post-credit scene where they're examining the rings and it was calling out someone? What do you think that's leading into? Do you have any theories for that? Because I have a couple theories for that.
I have no idea who would have made them. I don't know where they came from, and I have no clue as to who it could be referring to. I'm not a super big I haven't gone super deep into the Marvel lore, so.
Well, and this is without ruining or spoiling anything for Eternals, right? But watching the Eternals actually put some things in perspective for Shang-Chi. And one of the things for Shang-Chi that I am theorizing is that the 10 rings were made by the Eternals, or were like a fallen Eternals weapon that somehow made it to Earth. Yeah, because it's like when they decipher it and they pull apart like the specs of it with what's his name, Han or the dude from Doctor Strange, right? His buddy, who we see a couple times in this movie. Wong, yeah, I fucking love that scene where Wong's fighting Abomination.
Amazing.
In the fucking pit. Oh, dude, it was so good. It was so
I
good.
hated that they teased him and then just took him out of the whole movie. I was like, no, come back!
And then they brought him back at the end, and yeah, no, it was interesting, that's for sure. But I like the way they did it. It was just,
I was like, I wanted more Wong.
But see, that's the thing too, is that I think it's cool because Wong was like one of those side characters right off the bat, and he's becoming more pertinent to the MCU storyline now. Like he's kind of like a binder. But here's the thing too, there's a couple things to unpack here. First off, Wong, when he's pulling apart the schematics for the rings, and there's like that hologram thing that's going on there, he's talking about how he's like, this is technology he's never seen before, and that there's a beacon calling out something, right? So I think the beacon is calling out to one of two people. One, Silver Surfer, right?
Yes, we have not seen him yet.
Or two, straight up calling out Galactus, because
that would suck.
If you remember, in the Fortnite season last year, there was a Fortnite season.
Oh my god, are you really citing Fortnite as your evidence here?
That was based around Galactus. So, well, Fortnite actually does have like quite a bit of Easter eggs within their game that hint to future projects, right? And that was, I believe that was one of them. It was a major hint. But not only that, but in the Eternals movie, there's something very critical that happens right near the end that leads you to believe like Galactus is coming. You know what I'm saying? Like Galactus is going to be coming to the MCU. Naked Grandma, welcome to the chat. I appreciate you here.
We also have Kang. For those who have, for those who've seen Loki.
Yep, Kang the Conqueror, dude. So I'm really liking this next phase of MCU because they're getting weird with it, right? They're introducing the cosmos, they're introducing the multiverse, they're hinting. They introduce Kang, they're hinting at Galactus, they're hinting at the Fantastic Four and the mutants. They could.
I would love to see the Fantastic Four come back because back in like the little known secret, the reason that the new Marvel is so successful is due in part to the fact that Fantastic Four used to be what the Avengers is now.
Oh yeah, no, Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, like Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi movies, and the Fantastic Four both laid down a lot of pavement and groundwork, but in the same breath, also were the main movie franchises that made it so that people thought that the Marvel or comic book movies were like nuclear and they didn't want to touch them because the Sam Raimi movies went from the first one was a bustling success, the second one was somewhat successful, the third one like literally lost them so much fucking money. And then same thing happened kind of with the Fantastic Four. The first one just killed it, right? They made a good amount of money, knocked it out of the park. The second one lost them a shit ton of money, which I don't really understand too much because I at least from what I remember, the second one wasn't too bad, but I might just be remembering it through rose-colored glasses, right? Like, so, excuse me. But, as far as the MCU goes from here, I want to know what you are expecting and what you hope for out of the MCU, because I have a couple of things as well that I have in mind.
I think, me personally, as long as they tell a good story, I don't really care. That's as a wannabe creator and entertainer, that's all I care about when it comes to media. I just want to hear a good story. I don't care really how you tell it, just as long as it's a good story and it makes sense. When you start trying to like throw in things that don't belong, product placements, ideas, opinions and whatnot, like that's when it starts to wane for me, and that's when I start to be like, yeah, I'm not really enjoying this as much as I would if you had just left all this crap out.
Oh, totally. It's almost like with Transformers, right? Like the Transformers series. The first one knocked out of the park. The second one was so wrapped up in its own product placement that like at one point we get a fucking like 15-second like fixation on a fucking Mountain Dew machine that's turning into a train. You know what I'm saying? So like I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from. I love
that there's this one movie, I can't remember what it was, but it was literally like a fucking like Chrysler ad in the middle of the movie. I was like, wait, did we stop watching a movie?
That was Transformers.
Wait.
They're driving through the desert and then it starts like, yeah.
No. It was like these the two characters that I was watching, they were like walking, or it was more like, it looked more like rural New York.
Oh, really?
But like, yeah, but like they're walking around this car and they're sitting there talking about, I don't know, it might have been like a James Bond movie. That's the worst part.
That sounds like it could very possibly be.
Yeah, but like they're walking around this car and yeah, it's like they're like checking it out, and like there's these shots of the car that you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Your brain goes into like analyzation mode. You're like, wait a minute, this feels like an ad.
Right.
And then there was a point where I got genuinely confused. I turn over to one of my den mates and I'm like, are we watching an ad or is the movie still going?
They're like,
then it just goes right back to the movie, and then it's just like, whoop, just pretend that never happened. And I'm like, was that really necessary?
Really need this?
If you want to be subtle with it, fine. That brings realism. I love product placement things where the licensors just put it in your movie. It doesn't have to be crazy, like in front of the forefront or whatever. Like, I wish advertisers would do that more because it makes the movie more real.
I agree.
Love that. I'm like, you want to put product placement, you want to have Cokes, not everybody should be drinking a Coke, but maybe one or two people, because that's realistic.
Or I mean? What was it recently? I don't think it was with Shang-Chi, but it was with some Marvel movie that I watched recently where like Beats Audio was like fucking everywhere.
Oh my god.
They were beating you over the fucking head with the Beats Audio fucking brand placement everywhere. So it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. A real quick question. Are you familiar with like the MC or the Marvel comics and like the multi? No. Oh, shit. Okay, actually, I like that because then it gives a dual perspective on this whole thing. So for me, I am actually very familiar with a lot of the Marvel comics. I was a little bit more of a grim Marvel fan, so to say. So I like things
okay.
like Deadpool, Punisher. You know what I'm
Marvel
saying?
Zombies.
Marvel Zombies was cool, but actually, fun fact,
I'm joking.
the Zombies franchise, when that first came out, that was not exclusive to DC or Marvel. That was supposed to be the thing that brought the two universes together. Because it started, the infection started in the DC universe and then bled over to the Marvel universe. And which I always thought was very, very fascinating.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But with the comics, I was more into stuff that was a little darker, right? And like Blade and so on and so forth. But I also like things.
Blade's fucking awesome. I love Blade.
And they, in the Eternals somewhere, not going to spoil where, they have a savage Blade Easter egg, like a really savage Blade Easter egg, as well as the Black Knight.
I haven't seen too much of Blade, but from like what I have seen of him, I'm like, I want more of whatever this is.
Well, see, the Wesley Snipes Blade was not played as like a Marvel hero really at all. If anything, a lot of people watched those movies and they didn't even realize that it was a Marvel franchise because it was so fucking like gory and like it was a little bit more
the Deadpool before Deadpool, but without the humor.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Deadpool before Deadpool without the humor, and I'm really excited to see where these franchises go, but I'm really curious to see if they actually go back and utilize the stuff they started with the Netflix series, right? Like, I don't know if you're catching up or if you were watching Hawkeye recently or if you've caught up with it at all.
No, I haven't seen Hawkeye yet.
Your fox is leading.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Oh, okay.
What I'm actually doing.
Okay, I was just making sure you do. But that makes sense.
I can go up and down.
Hell yeah.
Side.
But I'm hoping that they utilize the TV shows a bit more outside of the MCU TV shows that they've been putting on Disney Plus, because what they set up with the Defenders between Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Iron Fist was actually somewhat decent. Like, I really like the guy who played Daredevil. I enjoyed the dude who played Danny Rand in Iron Fist. Luke Cage was casted excellently, and then Jessica Jones was a pretty good one as well, but the last season kind of lost me. What I would like to see, though, especially with the hint that they're pushing in Hawkeye, which, if you haven't watched Hawkeye, without spoiling anything, they're hinting that the big bad is going to be Kingpin, right? I mean, shit! They're hinting majorly that the big bad in Hawkeye is going to be Kingpin, and so it's
not about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the Mets, baby.
Yes. and I'm glad that you actually brought up a quote from Spider-Verse as well, because if you've seen the new trailer for for Across the Spider-Verse, I have this gut feeling that they are going to bridge that animated series into the live action universe.
I fucking hope
and bring Miles Morales from that series into the live action verse somehow. Because think about it, both the live action universe and the animated universe, as we know, right, with What If, with Spider-Verse, and then with all the MCU, have been really delving very, very, very hard into the multiverse, right? And with the first couple phases, the setup was the Infinity Stones. Like, that was the big setup, was like the Infinity Stones, and we saw that through a fucking plethora of different movies, right? Like, the first movie we ever get, the first Marvel MCU movie we ever got, right, which was Captain America, the first Avenger.
Literally, the entire plot was centered around
the Space Stone and the Tesseract. So I'm a real firm believer that this, over the next couple of years, as this phase rolls out, it's going to get fucking crazy, because it's going to be connecting animated series to live action, back to animated, and so on and so forth, especially with the What If series and how that went, where they literally broke universes in that series. And they literally had like a What If episode where Ultron got so powerful that he gained the Infinity Stones. He killed Thanos and took them from him, and then started conquering the universe. And at one point was so powerful that he was like, well, I mean, now what? And then at that moment, right when he hit that peak,
he's like,
well, he became so strong that he could hear the Watcher, who was narrating the show, right? And then they break the fourth wall entirely, and Ultron then goes and attacks the Watcher and has access to all the universes, because that's where the Watcher.
I would like to say one thing. The one thing that I know about the comics, and this is just a small thing about about Ultron, is I understand why they gave him to Tony and made him Tony's project, but it kind of undersells Ant-Man.
Yeah, because Ultron was originally Ant-Man's creation.
So Ant-Man is supposed to be like kind of a genius. He's supposed to be one of the smart dudes.
Well, if you
remember,
in the MCU, the Ant-Man we know is Ant-Man 2. It's not Ant-Man 1. So the Ant-Man from the comics was Hank Pym, the guy who in the movie is like a fucking super genius, right? Like he's creating the quantum tunnel. He created the Pym particle. He was the Ant-Man that you know of, and who created Ultron as well, right? Like in those comics. Well, I forget even the dude's name. Scott Lang, right? Is the guy's Scott. Name for the current Ant-Man. He's goofy, and I love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Don't get me wrong.
I like, and I think that's part of the reason. I just wish that they had like kind of kept some, like I guess legacy there, as like at least making him at least a little more smart than not. I guess he's got more of that like street smart thing, being a thief and all.
Yeah, he's got exactly, and he's a smart guy, but you could tell he's just kind of a dork. So he just kind of slides through life and doing whatever,
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless we're talking Endgame, and that would like literally pops out, everyone's dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, that's like hit me. Like him walking around and being like, "What the?"
And then he goes home. And his daughter is like fucking an adult pretty much now, and he's like, what? Like what?
Also,
what
him like going and checking out the mass the memorial gravestones, and seeing his name on there, and be like, well, that's not right.
Yeah, that whole movie was amazing, but for me, I go back and I watch Infinity War and Endgame like off and on. Like I would say like maybe like once or twice a year, depending on like if what kind of background noise I want in the background and how long I'm doing a task. But I every single time, it's like I always lean back more towards Infinity War than Endgame, with the one thing being the involvement of Ant-Man in Endgame, because I feel like that's like probably one of my favorite parts, simply because of the fact that Infinity War led up with that solid buildup, right? Like we had Ragnarok, where all that shit like went down, and then it ended with the civilization from Asgard floating through space, and then Thanos' ship coming up, and then in Infinity War we literally pick up where we left off. You know what I'm saying? Like quite literally, which I appreciated.
And he's like fucking massacred literally everyone on board.
Literally, yeah, like quite literally. But I want to also talk a little bit, because I know we've been just kind of conversing about MCU and so on and so forth. But I kind of want to talk about a little bit about the Game Awards.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
What did you enjoy from it? What were you hoping for?
So Game Awards, my up onion is it was kind of underwhelming, but then again, that's the Game Awards. I felt like the game of the year.
Yeah, okay, so
when they announced the game of the year, that's when I was like, okay, sure, I guess.
Let's unpack this real quick, because who did you want for game of the year?
I don't remember I think there was a couple different choices.
Let me bring them up.
Game of the year nominees. Let's see.
2020.
Having script blockers on my browser is great, but
right. No, I'm gonna look this up too.
All right, so it was Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, and Resident Evil Village.
Yes.
Those were the Game of the Year nominees. And I was like, I mean, sure, I guess, It Takes Two is a good game, but I don't know if I would have given it Game of the Year.
I definitely would have not. Okay, so my 2 Game of the Year nominees.
I've got 3 that I would probably like give it to equally.
Well, when it comes to this list specifically, right? The 2 in order would go Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and then Metroid Dread, right? With Resident Evil Village being like a close, or actually Psychonauts 2 and Resident Evil Village tied for the third. Deathloop, that game was okay. So that game might have been good. I don't know because I didn't play it because I got so fucking over getting hit with ads on Deathloop for like 2 years. I got over it. I was like, I'm fucking sick of this. We saw it at every single televised event. Here's more Deathloop, and then on top of that, Twitter's fucking throwing promotional ads left and right for like 6 months leading up to the game. Like it was so, they beat you over the head with their advertisement so much that you're just like,
it became a dead horse.
I don't want to play this. Yeah, like I just don't want to. It's just like just for the simple fact of being annoyed.
Here's the thing. Deathloop to me looks fun. I of course maybe it's just me being like used to ads being annoying and just not paying attention to it all and just skipping it as fast as I can or muting it.
Yeah.
But I would have given it to Metroid Dread, Psychonauts, or Deathloop. That, like, either one of those 3, leaning towards probably Psychonauts. Like,
yeah, honestly, like, so Psychonauts 2, I feel like was kind of like a dark horse in this lineup because it was one of those games that I've heard nothing but good things about. But it came out, I want to say, like midway through the year, right? So it kind of suffers from that, right? Like, while other things like, you know, Metroid Dread came out very recently, Deathloop very recently. Ratchet and Clank came out very early this year, so I was surprised to see that on the list. It Takes Two as well. But the thing I don't like about It Takes Two, a couple things. For starters, I fucking hate EA right off the bat.
Yeah, I honestly would.
But
loathe them.
But second off, the game, from what I saw, I have not played It Takes Two. I have it. I have it on Steam. I have not played it. But from what I saw, the game is like 90% cutscenes. Like it's like 16 hours of fucking cutscenes from what it feels like. It's so fucking long. And so, and like, you know, some people enjoyed it. Some people were like, yeah, you know, and that's cool. You know, not every game is for every person, right? Like, but as far as nominating this as Game of the Year and it actually winning, I was shocked by that. I was like, well, I mean, good for you guys, don't get me wrong, but I was shocked by that. One of the things that I was very happy to see was Kenna Bridge of Spirits getting the award for Indie Game of the Year. And Indie Game of the Year, there were a couple other good games thrown on that list.
I was actually kind of surprised to see Inscription on that list. I'm going to be honest.
I haven't played Inscription.
It was like, huh?
So I don't, and again,
I was happy to see Death's Door. I was actually wanting to play Death's Door, and I was like, oh my god, the Crow made it! He's on the list! Yes.
When I saw Death's Door on there, I was like, this is fucking dope. It's almost like seeing Hades on there, right? You're like, there we go. But and that's another game that I've only played very, very little, but I have not played enough to be like, oh yeah, I know this and that. Or
I need to play Death's Door. Like, I really been looking. Like, I need to do it.
Right. But the one that I thought was like, yeah, probably didn't fit too well was Inscription, and that was because, and for personally speaking, I'm not a huge card-based, turn-based, like, anything fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know everyone's like, oh, play Slay the Spire or play Darkest Dungeon, and because they're roguelikes or whatever it might be, but like, I personally speaking, I just can't get into those games. They're very boring to me personally. Like, I can't get past the whole like turn-based
I think
game.
That Inscription was a little bit different, at least in my own opinion, just because it had like it was, to me, it felt different than some of the other games, just because it had an escape room element to it as well. Like, it had like it had mystery to it. I think maybe that's why I liked it. And I don't mind card games at all, actually. I think they're quite fun. But I mean, that's your opinion, so I respect it.
I love card games, right? Like, I fucking collect Pokemon, Magic, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love, like, in real life card games. It's just when it comes to, like, video games that have card game mechanics, like, the only one I've ever found that I enjoyed in recent days was MTG Online, right? Like, the Magic the Gathering card game through Steam. Other than that, like, I don't know why I just can't get into it, right? Like it's just me, but that's fine. Like, you know, everybody has their own thing. And with turn-based, it's like the turn-based games, if I'm gonna play a turn-based game, it has to be like snappy, right? Like you get into the battle, you fuck that battle up, and you get out of the battle, right? Like that's kind of why I lean more towards Pokemon, because you get into a battle, an altercation, you either catch it, you kill it, you move on. Either way, it takes like maybe a minute to get through that thing, right? Well, like if you go and play something like an Octopath Traveler, which I fucking love Octopath Traveler, but I still have not beaten that game because I'm like 26 hours in and I'm like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like there are some battles that take 30 minutes because you're just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? And like that. So I guess like in the recent years, turn-based games have been a little harder for me to digest, especially when playing things like Hades, playing a lot of other roguelikes as well, like Dead Cells and stuff like that are very snappy and like to the point where it's like go, 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 you know, or Metroidvanias even. And Souls-like, where it's like you have an objective and you just go fucking hammer that shit out, right?
Can I say that I was a little upset that Final Fantasy won 2 things? Or the online
for like the third year in a row. Yeah,
and it's like it won best ongoing, and I'm like, to be honest, I don't know if that really fits. I would probably give that to like Apex or Fortnite, either one of those.
Apex Legends won it last year, if you remember. I'm pretty sure. Apex took that one home last year. I
don't care. Give it to them again. I hate EA, but I love Apex.
But here's the thing, too. I feel like when it comes to Final Fantasy 14, it's a little bit interesting as far as the conversation goes, because that game, if you remember when it was released, was a disaster. It was like worse than No Man's Sky disaster. Like it was bad.
Damn.
And they have really come a long way from there to the point where now it's like a hit sensation alongside Genshin Impact, right? Even eating World of Warcraft's lunch, right? Like especially with Activision Blizzard this last year, shitting, just straight up tutoring the bed, just diarrhea everywhere, right? And fucking, and then Square Enix is like, well, I'll take that from you, and they've been killing it this last year from what I've seen. A lot of user support, tons of updates. I think they've had like the Endwalker one that's coming out this month, I believe. The newest update is the second major update this year, right? So they've been having a lot of support towards that game. Wow, if you flip over to Apex Legends has been a shit show this year, dude. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It's been a fucking shit show this year. There have been some cool things that happen, right? Arenas is a huge buy for Apex Legends. Being able to go in and do more of a PvP 3v3 kind of thing, right? That's gigantic. But other than that, it's had so many issues, bugs, glitches, people coming back in full force just to get stopped with a wall of problems to leave again. And like and EA, as you know, is not very good with keeping up to date with their user engagement, right? Like they will leave it to Respawn to do all that, and Respawn's over here like, well, we're trying to also fix and make the game better while trying to keep up with this and that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult of a task to explain like kind of a situation that may not be digested very easily by the community, right? Like, which makes sense. No one likes to hear about delays or cancellations or oh, well, we have these bugs and we don't know when they're going to get fixed. But and with Fortnite, I feel like Fortnite this year took a backseat simply because their content wasn't as engaging or fulfilling, right? I know that there are some people out there who are probably like, Waffle, what the fuck are you talking about? They had like this whole cube thing going on, but like that, honestly, man, like the last thing I jumped into before this season right now with Fortnite.
Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't give it to Fortnite just because I don't like Fortnite. Dude, also, they straight up stole fucking Among Us from the Among Us devs. But I mean, and I'm not very keen on that. I think that was probably the most shitty thing ever.
If you look around, though, there are a lot of Among Us likes now. Like, there are a lot of, like, there's one that was free on the PSN
Waffle, it was 1-to-1, man. It was 1-to-1. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair. That is fair. And I'm definitely not defending Fortnite in this case, because they can defend themselves, you know, like they've got their own shit going on. But in the end, I mean, like, some of these major companies and brands who have been ongoing I feel like a lot of them kind of suffered this last year. And obviously, that has a lot to do with COVID and remote work and all that stuff. But for Final Fantasy 14 to pull off what it did, and mind you, I haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in, God, a long time. I picked it up for like, I want to say maybe a month, because my ex's older brother was like super into it, and then got out of it because I was like, yeah, like you I think you leveled to level 20, and then you got to pay $14 a month for this, and I'm like, I'm not about that, like if I'm about to hop into an MMORPG, I want it to be free, right? Like I want it to be a free MMORPG.
Or if you're gonna make me pay, make me do it up front so that I just get the game. Like,
yeah, exactly. Buy the game and then go from there. There's this one game that did that same thing called like Black Desert or something like that, or it's a game on I saw on the PSN a while ago, and so yeah, I mean it's interesting to see how this whole thing unfurled with ongoing game of the year, but other than that, I feel like one of the things I thought was massively impressive was Microsoft. During the Game Awards was, over the last couple of years, has really taken a back seat. Xbox hasn't been doing too well. They haven't had a whole lot of exclusives. The things that did come out were really half baked. And then this year they had 6 different awards won just for Microsoft games. So I feel like they've really pulled that off, especially with something like Horizon 5 or Forza Horizon 5 coming out, right? And taking the cake on that one, which I feel like that was to be expected as far as that category. To be fair,
I thought it was kind of interesting for, what was it? Let's see, you got Best Audio Design. There was another one that got it. I think it was Best Audio Design. I think it's hilarious that the only reason it won is because car noises.
Yeah. Well, dude, the audio designs that go into fucking car games is insane. They literally have to spend hours tweaking.
I don't know. I don't know if I really play racing games to listen to music. No, so for me, I was just kind of like,
it's not the music. It's not the music. All the sounds that the car makes, that's part of the audio design.
That's what I was meaning. Okay. I don't play racing games to listen to the pretty car noises.
For real.
I play racing games to go fast.
Well, which honestly is one of the big reasons why I enjoyed the Burnout series, because Burnout focused a little bit more on drive this car fucking crazy and you could bash into each other, and they had a killer soundtrack too, which actually helped the game quite a bit.
But to be fair, it was competing against Deathloop, Ratchet, Resident Evil, and Returnal, and I'm like, I don't know if any of those games I would have picked best sound for.
Right.
I don't know.
Game Awards 2021. Anticipated. Most. Here we go. So. No, not in 2020. Get out of here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to take it forever here. Okay.
I like how the best mobile game, Genshin won best mobile.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, right? But okay, so the Game Awards, as listed, have 5 games on their most anticipated nominees. They have Breath of the Wild 2. Or the Breath of the Wild sequel. We haven't really, we don't know what that's going to be called yet. They have Starfield, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok. With Elden Ring winning out of these 5 games towards the actual award. My question to you is, which of these 5 games are you most anticipating and why?
Let's see, most anticipated. There it is. All right. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right. So if we're looking at it, I don't know. My heart is saying I kind of want to see what Starfield is, but I also don't trust Bethesda anymore at all.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Bethesda either now, but I'm interested in it because now they're owned by Microsoft.
We'll see what happens. I think you were talking to me about Elden Ring once, because I said, I don't know what that is, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I just
Elden Ring,
I insulted the gods.
to give you an example as to what Elden Ring is. Elden Ring is essentially if you were to take Dark Souls and I would say Breath of the Wild, but I feel like that would be a little bit off. I feel like it would be like Dark Souls mixed with like a Horizon Zero Dawn or like Immortals Phoenix Rising, where you have the traversal, right? But it's not as specific to Breath of the Wild, right? Like I feel like everybody nowadays relates almost any open world a game to Breath of the Wild, which isn't very fair, right? Like I mean, Breath of the Wild's a good game. It's kind of hard to compare in general to that game, right? So. With Elden Ring,
you should just start calling everything Minecraft.
Well, with Elden Ring, it's just an open world Souls-like game that looks very beautiful. The map is massive. And
here's the thing: is I think when people see a character standing over a grassy plain, they think of Breath of the Wild just because it's the most recent example of that.
And they're the most successful one too, right? Out of a lot of the open world experiences that have come out over the last couple of years.
I'm actually kind of excited. So speaking of which, this wasn't in the Game Awards, but the new Sonic game.
Okay, so yeah, tell me about that. Well, what do you think about that? It feels like Sonic meets Shadow of the Colossus.
I love it. I think this is exactly what the fuck Sonic should have been from the fucking get-go. I hate the boost formula. I like that they're doing away with it.
I agree because
people are like, I love Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, I mean,
Kane, and I'm like, it's good.
That's I don't know if Dreamcast, right?
Like I'm more okay. Listen, I played more of the old Sonic titles, like Sonic 3. Still my all-time favorite Sonic game. The only thing that ever comes close to that is Mania, but that's just because it's basically Sonic 4.
Yeah, exactly. And Sonic 2,
so,
actually, I have that on the Genesis. That game's fucking phenomenal as well.
Sonic 2 is probably the better of the Sonics, like between the first and the second one. Just
for sure.
It took the formula that one set up and made it like supplemented it. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Sonic 3 just innovated, and I think that's why I adore that game so much. All came out on the same console, just in different time periods. No, I'm excited for it. I really hope Sega finds their swing. Like I am rooting for them. Like I think Sega has kind of become this underdog in the gaming industry just because they fail so much.
Yes, yeah.
And you're just like, come on, guys! I know you can do this. Like, it's possible. I believe.
Yeah, they become an underdog within their own like range, right? Because Sonic, growing up, and Sega, those were like AAA household titles, in my opinion.
Sega was making its own consoles, like, and I hope that there's a future where Sega actually decides to make another console. I would love to see what they do. Well, I mean, just to say fuck it to Nintendo and stick it to them.
Right.
I would love that.
They were the second company to make disc-based gaming, right? Like you had Sony with the PlayStation that came out first in like 1999, I believe. And then you had Sega Dreamcast in 2000, 2001. And in my opinion, I actually liked the gameplay and the graphics a little bit more from the Dreamcast, right? Like you had a ton of different games that I think back and it's like you have like Sunset or Jet Set Radio. You have fucking I forget what Sonic.
The Dreamcast was honestly it was kind of shadowed.
It really
the reason
was.
Why though is because the Saturn literally killed every part of Sega's momentum and set it up for failure.
Yeah, it's true.
So the Sega Saturn, a little bit of history, like the quick history of Sega. That's when Sega of Japan said, all right, we're taking it back now, give it. And that's when shit went way downhill. And yes, I'm putting all of the blame on Sega of Japan. I fucking hate what happened. The shit was going so well with the direction in the US studio, and they just said, all right, give it, and they were not willing to bend on anything. They ruined Sonic, and they ruined the consoles.
For a bit, right? And then you kind of saw a little bit of a resurgence when you had the Sonic Adventures game. You had a lot of people, I know I enjoyed the fuck out of those when I was younger, even though I go back now and I'm like, oof, oof, some of these things like, you know, don't really make sense, or this is not working right, or whatever it might be. But and then that game kind of laid the groundwork for future 3D Sonic games. And at that point, at that point, they just completely left out the side-scrolling games. Like it would have been nice if maybe, you know, at near the end of like the 3DS life cycle, they came out with something that was not Mania, but something like Mania with like an updated graphics. Like if the
issue was I think that when they did do 2D again, they gave it to an external studio that completely botched it. That's the official Sonic 4.
Yeah.
It's god fucking awful and not a Sonic game.
Yeah.
But
and the audio was like whack, if I remember.
The issue was the fact that Nintendo had a 3D game, and that was what was hot. So, in an attempt to compete with that, they tried to bring Sonic into a 3D plane without understanding the core fundamentals of what made the game great. Now, and the boost formula was the biggest, I guess, way to do that. But in all reality, Sonic needed a longer time to cook. Like it really needed a little bit longer. They needed to be a little bit more patient and strike when the time is right, because when, I swear to God, this happens every time the game industry tries to rush something, eggs will be broken. Like
it's true. And with Sonic, they
crack a few eggs trying to get to the finish line.
If you remember in like the early 2000s, right, Sonic kind of had like an identity crisis, because you have the game version of Sonic, which is one entire thing, and this is also what kind of the Pokemon Company suffered from with Ash Ketchum and the Sun and Moon series, right? Is that in Sun and Moon you have this like kind of goofy, unhinged, like weird Ash Ketchum going around doing just dumb shit, and then in the Sun and Moon game you're playing as a completely different character, and like the story is, you know, calm, and it's a good game. I actually really enjoy the Sun and Moon games, but the overlying story was a little bit more serious, right? Like the creature, Leviathan-like creatures from another dimension are trying to break through and fucking inhabit our world, and then they get lost here and they want to just go back. But with Sonic, they had their games, which was like Sonic running around trying to save these creatures from Dr. Robotnik's experiments, to the TV show where it's like Sonic and pals, Sonic's eating chili dogs now and shit, and it's like, so they had this kind of tear, like, and people didn't really know where to look, right? And then you add on another element to it with the Sonic Adventure games and the 3D boost, right? And you're like, okay, well, I don't really know what they're trying to do with this or where they're going, but I'm not too sure if I'm 100% on board. But like, I've always really enjoyed Sonic as a franchise. But I've definitely been one of those people who have been on and off the train a lot, right? Like, yeah, and that's how a lot of people have been. I mean, if you weren't a super big boost formula person, then like, I mean, there hasn't been really much for you. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's honestly why I love that Sega. Okay, when Sonic Forces and Mania dropped at the same time, because they dropped at the same time. I forgot about that. And then Mania did better, right? Hold on, I'm not done. I'm not done. So they dropped at the same time. Sonic Mania beat Forces 10 times over, so much that it became the face of their website. And Sonic Forces was left to the wayside. They completely abandoned it. I mean, I know I personally bought the digital and physical copy of Sonic Mania. I never even bought a single version of Sonic Forces. I was like, no, okay, I'm good off this. I think I'm going to go to Sega's website right now. And I want to see... I want to see like what their front page is, because if it's still Sonic Mania, I'm gonna cry. I think it's probably gonna be the new Sonic movie. It's probably the new one. Yeah, Sonic. To be fair. Which also, since we're talking about video games and we're talking about movies, let's kind of intermingle the two, right? Mm-hmm. What do you have you seen the new Sonic trailer for this new Sonic movie, and then what do you think of it? Because personally, I'm fucking excited for Sonic 2. I love the first one, and I want. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad. No, I'm serious. I'm excited for it. I don't expect it to be the best movie on Earth. I just want another Sonic movie. See, I actually haven't seen the first one, but my Paramount Plus runs out here near the end of the month, and they have Sonic the movie on there. I'm thinking about watching that one and then going and watching the second one, because I was one of those people who was with the lump sum of people who, as soon as they saw that original model for Sonic, the live action Sonic with like the fucked up teeth and like looking, it just looked creepy as shit. I was like, there's no way I'm watching this movie. Like, no. But then it came out and it was changed up. They revised some stuff. And it got some pretty good reviews. I've heard some people be like, yeah, I like it. It's a little kiddish here and there, but it's meant for kids, obviously. But overall, it was good. And then with this one, seeing the trailer, I am all on board, dude. Jim Carrey coming back better than ever as fucking Eggman.
They took the story from Sonic 3, and I fucking adore it. Yes,
where Knuckles is one of Eggman's henchmen.
He's the antagonist.
Yes,
he's the bad guy, which Knuckles initially was. He was the bad guy.
And then he gets flipped, pretty much. He Sonic ends up winning him over, and then Shadow becomes the new big bad. Yeah, and
I love that. I love that they took the old the old story and actually like brought it to because that was the issue I had with the first Sonic game or not game, sorry, the first Sonic movie was that it tried to be super original and I was like, you can't like I really just want I initially wanted them to be like, all right, fine, the video game character comes to real life, whatever, how you have to explain that. I'm not a big fan of it. Whatever, I'll roll with it. Now that they've legitimately taken bits of the lore and actually made it back in, I'm like, finally they're doing something.
Right.
And eventually, I want them to get rid of Earth completely and go and like do stuff on Mobius. Like, I really want them to just nix Earth. Go to Mobius. That Mobius has a lot cooler history, I feel.
Well, I feel like we're going to be seeing some of that in this next movie. I know that we just from the trailers, we saw a couple different zones that they were in from the games. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. What I think is like the giant pinnacle point of this is the voice acting crew they got with Idris Elba as Knuckles. I think that when I first heard about it, I was like, this could be a really big swing and a miss. But then hearing his voice lined up with Knuckles' movements, it is on point, dude. Like it works so fucking well because if you remember in the animated series or in even at least how I imagine Knuckles' voice going in the game was like really gruff and like raspy and like deeper voice and like he was like angry all the time, right?
It kind of made him into a dumbass, if I'm being honest. In like most of the like newer ones, he's kind of the like he's kind of been stripped of his identity. Well, I feel
he went from being like this kind of snarky, very confident, like the cool kid in the classroom, right? To being like, I punch things hard, I'm strong, and it's like they made him almost caveman-like. Elite Sniper redeemed the Waffles Stop Cursing for 2000. Thank you, Elite Sniper. I appreciate that, and also welcome. I appreciate you coming through here and checking out the Floofs and Waffles podcast.
They straight up like took it and then like dumbed his character down, and I was never a part. Like I was like, okay, so and maybe this is just what happened in recent years, like that, like you were saying, they went through kind of an identity crisis. One of the parts of that was the fact that Sonic had so many like friends, like he had so many like different characters that it became muddled.
Yeah,
and that was what the newer games had suffered from. It's what Sonic Forces, like, I seriously look back at that and I'm like, there are so many fucking characters here and so much going on, and it all started really with Sonic Adventure. That's where it started to get kind of crazy. And they introduced so many people, and I'm like, okay, the original three, right? The original three, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. Yeah. Start there.
Right? But not even that. Start here. Sonic and Tails, Knuckles still bad guy. Start there. You know what I'm saying? Like, like begin there and work your way forward. But and it's funny that you mentioned that because in Sonic Adventures, I was very tripped out about how Sonic ends up becoming friends with one of the main antagonists, which was like, I forget the creature's name, but like that like amorphous blob that absorbs the chaos crystals, right? I think.
Chaos.
Okay,
I actually think its name is Chaos.
Okay, I thought so. I just didn't. I didn't remember quite clearly.
Its name is Chaos, and it's kind of an eldritch horror in Mobius. Like, it's been around. Like, the echidnas actually have been fighting Chaos longer than Sonic's been alive.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be almost like an entity rather than a character. But then if you remember in Sonic Adventures, at one point Sonic starts like trying to be buddy with Chaos, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, no, this is an antagonist. Like you're supposed to be stopping the big bad, not trying to be like, let's all be friends.
You're not the Avatar.
Which I feel two genres suffer a lot from the let's all be friends trope. The first one being anime. Anime suffers from that. Just horribly, right? Like you have the power of friendship, let's all be friends kind of thing, and it doesn't work half the time. And then video games, right? Like sometimes a bad guy needs to just be a bad guy, right? Like
just make them an antagonist,
right?
Just don't.
Pink Hibiscus, how you doing? Oh my god, look at that emote too. That is adorable. I need to get some moving emotes on my stream as well. Welcome to the chat. We got a comment here from Elite Sniper, which I thought was funny, which is people want the Knuckles with his cowboy hat. I am probably one of those people who am neither here or there for that one, my friend. Although that does sound amazing.
That's kind of funny.
Do much Twitch till I got a new one. Oh, that's all good, Elite Sniper. That is all good. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're checking out the channel with me and your boy Floof. So one game that I've been kind of really frustrated about.
Okay.
And I thought we were gonna see something about it. And I've been saying it for like fucking 2 years now, and it's a continuous fucking thing, is Hollow Knight Silksong. Where the fuck is Hollow Knight Silksong? What's happening with this game? Is it even in existence? Was it all just a lie? Is it a fever
Who's
dream?
the dev studio behind that?
Team Cherry, 3 gentlemen out of France. They're the people who made the original Hollow Knight.
I have no idea on that front. Like, I didn't play. I mean, I played Hollow Knight. I just never finished it, and I kind of waned off of it. I don't know. It just wasn't for me, even though a lot of people enjoy it, and that very much everyone has a right to. But
yeah, no, and so Hollow Knight is my #1 favorite, right? That is my favorite game of all time. I think it's fucking fantastic, and because for me, when I think of a video game that is near perfect as possible, I think of Hollow Knight. In my own personal opinion, which a lot of people are probably thinking like Waffles, it's a 2D side scroller, what the fuck, which is a major hang up for a lot of people. But like the lore is amazing, and they don't beat you over the head with a fucking shit ton of talking or storyline. The art is fantastic. The music is beautiful. The gameplay is amazing. The actual gameplay can be at fucking so many hours. You have so many hours of gameplay in that thing. It's a Metroidvania, so you can go through and you can beat the entire game, actually slay the knight at the end of the base story before the DLC, and still have 60 hours past then of just content to go through, side bosses, getting the dream nail, going through and okay, cool. I thought that my headphones disconnected. Going through and going through the DLC with the carnival and so on and so forth. But the thing that impressed me most of all was the fact that there were only a couple devs on the team. 3 people made this entire game, and it fucking blew the indie space out of the water, right? It was like, holy shit, like this is an indie game. This is what indie games could be. And then with Silksong, it looks fantastic. Silksong plays from the point of an anti-hero protagonist in the original Hollow Knight, because I call her an anti-hero because she was kind of an antagonist at one point, but a protagonist at others. Like she would help you, but you had to fight her at one point. And that's Hornet, and Hornet is much more acrobatic. So if you played the first one and you were like, I like it, but it was kind of hard to move around and traverse, it was a little hard for the Wanderer's the main character, to move around, like, and so on and so forth, which it was not. If you got your nail bouncing down, you could fucking go anywhere.
I never thought the movement was the main issue in any of those games.
Some people
I was like, no, it was more or less the content. I don't know, maybe I'm just not super adept at like Metroidvanias. Which is funny because I love Castlevania.
I wasn't talking about in your case. I'm just talking about things that I've heard from people in the past as far as
I'm just putting in my 2 cents.
Yeah. But with Hornet, she can like she could jump, bounce, fly across the fucking screen. Like she has a lot more traversability, right? She could move around a little bit more nimbly, but they haven't really released a whole lot as far as information on when this game's coming out, where it's at in its development cycle. I know that obviously, you know, with COVID, everything got pushed back, everything got kind of like put on hold. But I mean, for fuck's sake, man, as someone who's like a diehard Hollow Knight fan, I just want something. Give me like we're bringing it 2023, right? Like just some kind of goalpost to look for it heading towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's one thing that I was kind of disappointed I didn't see at the Game Awards, because I thought for sure.
Well, there's a lot. You weren't alone. There's a lot of people who weren't particularly thrilled that nothing was said.
Yeah, so. But I did really enjoy the Hellblade segment that they did, where they showed that gameplay with the fucking the stone giant or whatever, and how creepy it looked. It looked like a fucking Titan from Attack on Titan, like crawling itself into the cave and then slowly turning back into rock, and then you fucking hit it with the oil and fire, and it like breaks itself off like crust and comes chasing after you. Like that I thought was fantastic. And I don't know if you've ever played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, but that game was amazing, and for a bunch of different reasons. It landed on the topic of mental health. The actual fucking game itself was meant to be an auditorial experience as well, so if you had headphones in, you would feel like you were Senua. So you'd be walking around, because the whole thing of Senua's Sacrifice is that she suffers from schizophrenia, right? So but the schizophrenic like voices in her head actually help her. Like she'll be coming up to an area, and like you'll hear like on the left side, like, danger, watch out, you're gonna die, death is coming, it's coming, and stuff like that, but like coming from all sides of your headphones, right? Like every angle, and it feels like there's somebody actually like there, right? Like I remember there was this point where you're turning this bend, and out of nowhere it's just like, stop. And it made my like the hair on my neck stand up, because I'm like, oh my god, it felt like somebody was right behind me telling me to like stop. And so I was very, very impressed by that. Very impressed by that. But with that in mind, y'all, I think that is going to be the top of the show. Thank you all for joining us here at Floof and Waffles for the podcast here on my channel, Waffle Plays Twitch. Floof, where could they find you?
Well, as anyone knows, I guess, whatever. I don't know what I was trying to say with that. But you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. I'd rather you check out the YouTube, as I'm probably going to be streaming there from now on. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Twitch has been losing me.
Yeah, I've been thinking about starting to stream to YouTube as well. Just because even if it's indicative of with this stream, like this was a fun stream and all, but like the engagement and interactivity of people coming on and off Twitch is very clicky now. I've noticed that people are like, oh well, this person has 15 or more people in their stream, I'm gonna go talk to them now. And then people like us, right? Like with this stream, we've averaged one person in the stream. That's been the stream. Then we've averaged one viewer this whole stream, which is fine, right? Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And Mackie, how you doing? But it's because people come through and they see, oh, there's only one or two people in the stream, I'm not going to go there. And like that's how it is with a lot of channels right now, and it sucks. Yeah. I see some channels like Jibby or a couple others who kill it, and they might, spike during their stream, but like for the most part they'll be ranging around like 3 or 4 people coming through, or 5 people, which that's still a lot of people, right? That's still people coming in.
I think that and maybe this is a conversation to have on another Floofs and Waffles. I think maybe the next one I kind of want to talk about content stuff.
Yeah, I'm down. Cool. I'm down. I'm fucking down. But
I have a lot to say. But anyway, sorry, we were trying to wrap it up. Anyway, you can find me on Twitch, Floofsnoof, YouTube, Floofsnoof, Twitter, Floofsnoof. Like I'm Floof on everything. So that's just how you find that. Yeah, aside from that, that's pretty much it for me. I hope that everyone here has enjoyed their Floofs and Waffles.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I know I've had a good time. I enjoy doing these podcasts and streaming and such, regardless of what goes on. But as any other content creator, I do pay attention to the numbers, right? I like just today I was looking through and I'm like, man, dude, back in like March, April, like the channel was fucking exploding, and now it's it's gone down a different course. which, you know, it is what it is. But it's for me, part of me is like, should I stay on Twitch? Should I not? What should I do? Should I even keep doing this whole thing? But I do enjoy it, so I'm going to keep pushing forward. But enough about that, right? We'll save that for the next podcast. If you want to find me, you could go ahead and look me up Waffles Twitch on Twitter. Look up Waffle Plays on YouTube. We don't have the actual link yet. We have about 24 subscribers, so please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff on the oh shit, hold on. Is your thing's frozen? Oh no, okay, good. On the old YouTube channel. Again, if you're watching right now, you already know, check us out here every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. MST for Floofs and Waffles. And again, like I said earlier, next week, starting Saturday, we will be having another podcast segment called Coffee with Waffles, in which I will be shooting the shit and interviewing small streamers and large streamers, just streamers in general, across the hemisphere, be it on Twitch or YouTube or even Mixer, if some people are still holding on to that one.
I thought Mixer died.
It died hardcore. But yeah, everybody, until then, have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. PST.
There you go, bud.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I'm still trying to work out my schedule in general here for streaming, but I know
all good.
I know it's gonna be Friday through Tuesday. We're gonna do 10 a.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're gonna do 8 p.m. Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday. So, anyways, stay tuned. Hit your boy up. And Mackie Snake Eyes, Pink Hibiscus, Elite Sniper, NPH, Naked Grandma. Thank you all for coming through here. I appreciate you all greatly. And until next time, everybody, catch you later.